We often think of fitness as something that's about the body, lifting weights, running miles, and pushing our muscles to the limit. But what if I told you that the most important organ you need to work on for lasting health might be the one between your ears? I'm Dr. Vicki Petz Casper. I practiced obstetrics and gynecology for 20 years until I landed on the other side of the sheets as a very sick patient. When my own body betrayed me, I took a handful of pills to manage my disease and another handful to counteract the side effects. My health was out of control. Through surgery, medications, and lots of prayers, I regained my strength only to face another diagnosis. My doctor challenged me to make radical changes through lifestyle medicine. Now I feel great and I want to help you make changes that make a difference. Healthy Looks Great on You podcast takes you to many medical schools so you can learn the power of lifestyle medicine. If you're ready to take control of your health, you're in the right place. Whether you're focused on prevention or you're trying to manage a condition, I'll give you practical steps to start your own journey toward better health, because healthy looks great on you. This is episode 167, 5 Hacks to Boost Mental Sharpness or Fitness for Your Brain. Staying physically active is key to maintaining a healthy body. But when was the last time you thought about exercising your brain? Physical fitness is one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine. But don't miss the importance of mental and cognitive fitness. The statistics that predict the rising numbers of dementia are dismal and discouraging. Are we all doomed to forget the memories of experiences that we treasure most, or the names of people who mean the world to us? And of course, dementia is so much more than memory loss. It's personality change and the inability to make decisions and function independently. Brain fitness also affects our ability to regulate our emotions, and wouldn't it be nice to have something that turns that down a notch? So, as we stand in the present and look at the future, should we give up, sit on the couch, binge on Netflix, and eat ice cream every night? Or can you do something to actually train your brain to stay sharp and focused? Today, you'll get a practical step-by-step guide to implement a workout for your brain. You ought to use the same care, intentionality, and proper training than you would for your biceps, right? One thing that is important to keep your brain fit is to keep learning. And that is why you enrolled in many medical school, right? Each week on the Healthy Looks Great on You podcast, I take you to many medical school where you learn about science and health. Today, we're going to learn about brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF for short. In its most basic form, this is a protein that acts like a growth factor in the nervous system. Think of it like Miracle-Gro. It helps neurons to survive and thrive. And it's crucial for learning, memory, and what we call executive function. That's the part of your brain that gets paid to make the big decisions. And get this, it turns out that to some degree, our nervous system can actually make new neurons and neuronal pathways. And BDNF is a necessary ingredient. It also protects neurons when there are adverse conditions. But you can't really go to the local botanical nursery and buy a bag of it. You gotta grow your own, so to speak. And that gets harder and harder as you age. So how do you keep your brain flourishing and resilient? I'm going to give you 5 prescriptions that you can start using today. I've already mentioned being a lifelong learner because every deposit you make in the cognitive reserve helps build up brain power, and that includes formal education. But just because you've turned the tassel on your mortarboard years ago, that doesn't mean you can't enroll in some form of continuing education. In fact, if you're over the age of 65, a lot of universities allow you to take classes for free. The key is to do something new. If you've done something really complicated for years and you've mastered it and you're an expert, you got to do something new. For example, if you can put a 1,000-piece puzzle together like a ninja, but you can't speak Spanish, which one of these things is going to challenge your brain the most? It's the one that builds more brain fitness, and the reverse is true as well. If you're fluent in Spanish and you can't do a puzzle, then the puzzle is the one that helps most. So let me say it again. Do a new thing. Go to a new place, learn a new language, a musical instrument, or hobby. New, not familiar, helps with neuroplasticity. And before I give you some practical tips, let me define neuroplasticity. When it comes to the meaning of a word, I like to break it apart. Neuro means nerves, which is what our brains are made of. And plastic is a hard substance that toy cars are made of. No, I'm just making sure you're still paying attention, but seriously, plasticity is the ability to be shaped or molded. So the toy analogy isn't totally off. You see, plastic is molded into the shape of a car, and your brain has some ability to be shaped differently. Not on a gross anatomy level, but on a microscopic nerve cell level. Neuroplasticity is adaptability. And that leads me to my very first prescription for you to keep your brain sharp. Use the internet. Did you see that coming? No matter how you feel about our digital world, it is ubiquitous in our lives. We literally communicate digitally, obtain information digitally, and function financially, professionally, and personally online. And listen, either you adapt or you get left behind. Navigating the internet requires some brain power that taps into areas that process, store, and manipulate information in our noggins. Let's say you're my age. I'm 60. And you go to a restaurant and they don't even have a menu anymore. Instead, they have a QR code. Now, you can either refuse to learn how to pay and scan, or you can challenge your brain and keep up. But here's the deal with technology. The longer you hold out, the more it will move on, and the further behind you get, the harder it is to keep up and catch up. And it moves fast. They call it the gray digital divide. And listen, I'm not letting my gray hair show, and I promise I will do everything I can to stay tech savvy. And so should you, because studies show that people over the ripe old age of 58 who spend time online have sharper brains. And it shows. There's even a commercial about not becoming your parents, and it shows a group of senior citizens printing out their boarding passes. And remember, the only way to figure out technology is to push all the buttons. That's what kids do with no fear. Old people, on the other hand, are scared they'll break it. So they sit back and let the technology world pass them by. Don't do that. Push the buttons and stay up to date. I'd suggest that you start with your phone. Go to the settings and play around. Mix things up and change Siri's voice to a British accent, perhaps. Sorry, I butchered that, and honestly, Siri isn't that great at it either, but that's not the point. The goal is to play around with something that won't break, like your phone, and hey, if it does break, you can still take it to your grandkids to fix it. Okay, it's past time to move on to prescription number 2, which is not so unexpected. You've probably heard that you should play games. When I was practicing gynecology, I took care of women of all ages, and the sharpest octogenarians were bridge players. When it comes to games, difficulty matters, and so does your skill level. Most of us tend to play things we're good at, when what we should do is challenge ourselves. And yes, Sudoku or Sudoku, whatever you call it, crossword puzzles, board games, jigsaw puzzles, they're all great for training your brain. But you got to do the hard ones, the ones that don't come easy. Some of my friends are now learning to play Mahjong. It's getting very popular. I'd say give it a try. And along with 100 million other people, I'm using an app on my phone called Lumosity. There's a free version and a paid version, and I don't get a dime from recommending it, but I think it's great. You get an assignment every day and you just play games that tap into certain parts of your brain. The games are short and they're challenging and they're focused on different areas of brain function. You can see where you're weak and where you're strong. And according to their research, 10 weeks of use helped with working memory, short-term memory, processing speed, problem solving, fluid reasoning, and overall cognitive function. I recommend that you use this app, and I'll put a link in the show notes so you can easily find it. Now, prescription number 3 is a little bit of a rewind about doing new things, but I'm going to give you 4 specific examples. Do these things. Number 1, learn to play a musical instrument. Yeah, right. That's really hard. But that's the point. If you don't challenge your brain and you do only things that you're already good at, even if they're challenging for other people, then you may need to add a banjo or a guitar to your repertoire. What musical instrument would you learn to play if you could choose a new one? For me, it's the harmonica. I mean, you can carry it in your pocket, take it everywhere you go, and it's impressive if you really know how to play. Which I don't, so it's just annoying, which actually is probably the case with any musical instrument when you're first learning. But learning to play an instrument stimulates the brain in areas that are involved in vision, sound, and movement. It enhances memory, executive function, spatial reasoning, and literacy skills. It can help with rewiring the brain. That's that neuroplasticity that we talked about. And it's so important for overall brain health, but not only that, it's great for your mental health. It can lower stress and reduce anxiety. Turns out that a little time picking can leave you grinning. Playing an instrument is a full brain workout requiring motor skills and concentration, and it certainly isn't easy, but imagine what a sense of accomplishment you'd feel. Okay, do a new thing number 2. If you don't want to learn to play a musical instrument, how about this? Learn a new language. Yeah, that's not easy either, and it's a pretty lofty goal. Personally, what I think you should do is visit other countries if there's any way you can, and at least learn some phrases instead of expecting them to know your language. There are lots of online language learning tools, so give it a try. Under do these things, this one's not new, but number 3 is read. Reading comprehension is the key to information. You should read when you're young and keep reading when you're old, and never, ever stop learning facts and vocabulary. Warning, this is a grandma brag moment, but my grandson can read. That's right, and get this, he is 4 years old. My daughter took him to the library, and he picked out a book. Not a primary reader, just a book. And she sent me a video of him sounding out every word. He got to but, and he looked at her and said, "But that's a bad word." You might as well have fun, because do a new thing number 4 is fun. That's learn a new hobby, because creativity lights up your brain. Draw, paint, learn to knit or crochet, anything that requires manual dexterity plus mental effort. And you see, if you're already crafty, that's great, but remember, learning something new and challenging is the key. Moving on to prescription number 4, this one's going to sound very familiar. Don't disconnect physical fitness from cognitive fitness. You see, your brain is way more likely to stay healthy with regular physical exercise. Turns out that good blood flow and oxygen are pretty important for your gray matter to keep working under that gray hair. So do this. Walk. But I'm not talking about strolling. You need brisk walking or aerobic exercise, and if you're walking fast enough to make a difference, you should be able to carry on a conversation, but not sing. I mean, I can't sing anyway, but that's not what we're talking about. If you aren't huffing and puffing just a little bit, kick it up a notch or 2. And how about dancing? This one is great because it requires physical activity, coordination, memory, and social interaction. Multiple brain benefits all in one package. Plus, it's a lot of fun, even if you're not good at it. Ask me how I know. So grab your partner and do-si-do. Not only is aerobic exercise that gets your heart pumping important, but also strength training. You see, big old muscles are more than just for show. There is some evidence that quadricep strength in particular is associated with higher cognitive performance in older adults. And here's why. We don't really know. Probably better cardiovascular health and therefore blood flow to the brain. Maybe reduced inflammation or just overall health. But there are other benefits too, like reducing falls and maintaining ability, agility, and mobility as we age. So get out there and pump some iron a couple of times a week, but don't hurt yourself. Prescription number 5 is lifestyle matters most. This is a lifestyle medicine podcast, and it really is the most important thing. As a review, the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine are nutritional eating, physical fitness, stress management, reducing harmful substances, social connectedness, and restorative sleep. Let's look a little bit at nutritional eating. Relatively speaking, your brain is small. I'm not trying to insult you, but the brain makes up 2% of your body weight, and yet it is a high-maintenance organ, consuming 20% of your body's energy. And you've heard that you should eat a heart-healthy diet, right? Well, good news. A heart-healthy diet is a brain-healthy diet. And I've discussed the MIND diet and the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet elsewhere on this podcast. I think I'll do a recap soon, so be sure you're on my email list to hear more about diet. And you have to do it on the internet, so it's good for your brain. Go to healthylooksgreatonyou.com and sign up. But seriously, there are lots of benefits to knowing all this information. You see, the standard American diet of lots of fat and refined sugar decreases brain-derived neurotropic factor and therefore lessens neuroplasticity, leaving you stuck in a rut. Processed foods can contribute to brain fog due to all that inflammation they incite. And just as important as nutrition and physical fitness is social connectedness. And here's the deal. You can combine several of the lifestyle medicine pillars. Group fitness hits physical and social. You could take a cooking class or a pottery class or dancing lessons, and that helps you connect doing a new thing to doing it with people. So does playing games, traveling, music, and sports. And if you don't know where to start, try volunteering for something you're passionate about. Turns out that having meaning and purpose is super important for longevity. But it's not the years in your life. It's the life in your years that matters most. Your brain is a valuable asset. Treat it with care. Learn to manage stress so it doesn't manage you. Chronic stress increases cortisol levels, and that can actually damage neurons, and it has a negative impact on neuroplasticity. And this is also something I've talked about on previous episodes of this podcast, so I will do a recap. But for now, I'd like to mention that constant multitasking and the bombardment of information that comes from the internet can be mentally exhausting. So although proficiency on the internet is a good thing, too much time can increase stress. So like food, be careful what you consume. And one last thing I want to mention about brain fitness is sleep. And hopefully you've followed me long enough to know that I am passionate about a good night's rest. Your brain will never reach optimal fitness without restorative sleep because it's critical for memory consolidation, mood stabilization, and critical thinking. While you get your Z's, your brain clears out toxins, makes repairs in the neural network, and processes your fears and sorts information. Sleep is necessary for neuroplasticity. But it gets harder as you get older, and that's why I provide lots of resources on sleep. More to come on that, so stay tuned and stay connected because healthy looks great on you.
The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.